They say love is blind, but I never knew it could also make you completely deaf to the warning signs, screaming right in front of you. My name is Asuka. For 5 years, I believed I was living a perfect, blessed life. I had a beautiful home, a career I loved, and most importantly, I had Zane. Zane was my anchor, the man who held my hand through the darkest days after my parents passed away. He was the one who promised me that no matter how cruel the world became, his arms would always be my safe haven. I trusted him with my past, my dreams, and every single piece of my heart. I thought our love was a fortress, built on years of shared tears, laughter, and unbreakable loyalty. Every morning, I would wake up before him, watch the quiet rise and fall of his chest, and thank the universe for bringing him into my life. We had built everything from scratch. When we first met, we had nothing but a handful of dreams and a shared promise to make something of ourselves. I invested my savings, my time, and my endless energy into helping him build his business. I didn't care about the long hours or the sacrifices, because I believed his success was my success. We were a team. Or at least, that is what the girl inside me desperately wanted to believe. But looking back, the shadows were always there, creeping silently behind the bright lights of our happy life. It started with subtle shifts, the kind you notice but immediately dismiss, because you love the person too much to doubt them. A phone kept face down on the dining table. A sudden, unexplained urgency to take business trips over the weekend. A coldness in his touch that replaced the warmth I had known for half a decade. Whenever I asked him if something was wrong, he would smile softly, kiss my forehead, and tell me I was just stressing myself out over nothing. "You worrying too much, Asuka," he would whisper. And like a fool, I let those gentle words lull me back into a dangerous comfort until that one rainy Tuesday afternoon. The sky was heavy with dark clouds, mirroring the storm that was about to shatter my entire existence. Zane had left his personal iPad at home, and it kept buzzing on the kitchen counter. It was a notification from an unknown number. I didn't mean to spy, but the message flashed across the screen, breaking the silence of the room and the peace of my life forever. It read, "The papers are ready. Love. Once she signs them, everything you built together belongs to us. Can't wait for her to be completely out of our lives." In that single, agonizing second, the ground beneath my feet simply vanished. My breath caught in my throat, and a cold, suffocating wave of realization washed over me. The man I loved, the man I had built a life with, wasn't just breaking my heart, he was actively planning to destroy me. The hours that followed were a blur of blinding pain and deafening silence. My hands shook so violently I could barely hold the device as I began to dig deeper. I discovered a hidden trail of emails, messages, and bank statements that exposed a reality so cruel it made my stomach turn. For the past 2 years, Zane had been funneling the profits from our joint company into a separate, private account registered under another woman's name. Mira, she wasn't just a stranger. She was his secretary, the woman he had introduced to me as a trusted colleague. But the betrayal ran even deeper. Zane had been carefully manipulating our legal documents. The papers the message referred to were property transfer documents, disguised as routine business, renewals that he was planning to make me sign the following week. He wanted to leave me entirely penniless, stripped of the company I poured my soul into, and completely thrown out of my own home. I stood in the middle of our living room, surrounded by our photographs, feeling like a ghost in my own life. Every memory, every sweet word he had ever spoken to me, felt like a sharp piece of glass cutting through my soul. I was utterly shattered. I curled up on the floor, crying until my chest ached and my throat was dry. When Zane returned home that evening, he walked in with his usual charming smile, completely unaware that the naive, trusting Asuka he knew had died the moment that message flashed. "Rough day, honey?" he asked, noticing my pale face. I looked into his eyes, the eyes I used to find comfort in, and saw nothing but a master manipulator. I forced a smile, swallowed the bitter taste of betrayal, and replied, just a bit tired. Zayn, just a bit tired. That night, as he slept peacefully beside me, something shifted deep within me. The overwhelming sorrow that had paralyzed me hours ago began to harden into something else. The tears dried up, replaced by a cold, fierce clarity. I realized that crying wouldn't save me. Being the victim wouldn't win back my dignity. If he had planned my destruction with such calculated coldness, I would have to plan my survival with absolute precision. He thought I was weak because I loved him. He thought my kindness was a vulnerability he could exploit. But he forgot that the same woman who had the power to build him up also possessed the strength to tear his illusions down. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I was going to play his game. Let him think he was winning. Right until the moment his entire world came crashing down around him. Over the next week, I played the part of the devoted, oblivious partner perfectly. When Zayn finally brought home the fraudulent property documents, smiling his fake, loving smile, I didn't flinch. Just sign here, Asuka. It's for the new investors, he said smoothly. I smiled back, took the pen, and signed. But what Zayn didn't know was that I had already spent the last 4 days working secretly with a top forensic accountant and a brilliant lawyer. The documents I signed were not the ones he prepared. They were legally binding agreements that transferred his remaining shares of the company back to me due to financial fraud, which I had fully documented. The day of the grand corporate gala arrived, the event where Zayn planned to publicly announce his expansion and secretly celebrate his new life with Mira. The room was filled with investors, media, and high-profile clients. Zayn stood on the stage, the spotlight shining on him, looking confident and proud as he began his speech, thanking everyone for his success. The large projector screen behind him suddenly glitched. Instead of his corporate presentation, a video began to play. It wasn't a business slideshow. It was a clear, high-definition recording of Zayn and Mira in his office, discussing how they were embezzling company funds and laughing about how they were going to leave me with nothing. Along with the video, copies of the illegal bank transfers and the forensic audit reports flashed on the screen for the entire room to see. The room fell into a dead, horrifying silence. Zayn froze, his face turning completely pale as the microphone trembled in his hand. He looked at the screen, then frantically looked around the room until his eyes landed on me. I was standing at the back of the hall, dressed in a stunning, elegant black dress, holding a glass of water. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply raised my glass to him with a calm, serene smile. Within minutes, the authorities, whom my lawyer had already notified, walked into the hall. Zayn was escorted out in handcuffs in front of the very people he had spent his life trying to impress. His reputation and his freedom instantly destroyed. Walking out of that hall into the cool night air, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I hadn't realized I was carrying. My revenge wasn't born out of hatred, but out of a necessity to reclaim my own worth. Betrayal is a bitter poison, but it also serves as a fierce awakening. It teaches you that your value does not decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. Zayn tried to bury me, but he didn't realize I was a seed. I lost a dishonest partner, but I found my own unbreakable strength. And in the end, that is the greatest victory of all.